Howdy YouTube. So, big gap since, my last video post, except for today. We're doing a bunch of them today. Figure you guys need caught up on what's going on. So, got my little whiteboard there. If you guys don't have one of those in your shop, I'd recommend getting one. I have trouble keeping track of my projects that need done. So writing them down is a good way to be able to remember. This project today that we're reviewing, this tool we're reviewing, we're going to skip the coffee today. I think we're going to need a little whiskey. We might need whiskey for this one. Let's get into it. Let's check it out. All right. So what we're looking at today is the R-4222 sliding compound miter saw from Ridgid. This is a big boy. This is a 12-inch. Now, let's start with why I got such a big compound miter saw. There are smaller miter saws that are a lot more affordable. Little 7¼ inch, may just have the up and down function, and then of course your mitering. That's great for smaller stuff. If that suits your needs, by all means, go get that. That didn't suit my needs, so thus we have this big monstrosity of a compound sliding miter saw. And this has got a huge stroke on it. It's got a huge blade. Does all your mitering cuts. It is a very nice compound miter saw with a substantial price point. With all that size comes price tags. So why did I say that we might need whiskey for this one? Well, the reason I say that is how it has reviewed from everybody else that I've seen, to include on Ridgid's own website. When I purchased this, I was a little iffy about buying it. There was a lot of talk on the internet about the blade on this machine, and more so the bushing that holds the blade into place. Now, what was the big issue? Well, everybody said that this blade has a tendency to wobble back and forth, which when you're doing a compound miter cut tends to be kind of a bad thing. Well, why would so many people say this? My experience understands why they're saying it, but what I have seen has been operator error. Now, does that mean that this is the end-all be-all? No, by all means it's not. Maybe I got a really good one. They got a really bad one. I don't know. It was a very common statement said out there on the whole interwebs. So what is it that I believe they were talking about? Well, that is a big saw blade that you're trying to spin up. To have a little bit of flex in it would not be all that much of a surprise. Let's pull this up and take a peek. So you can get some natural flex out of the blade. It's not a lot, but there's a little bit there. When you're putting all that torque on it that this motor generates, this is a big heavy-duty motor on this. I believe it's a 15-amp motor. So you're talking about creating a lot of torque. So getting that big blade to try and move, she tends to want to curl a little bit. And you have to give it a second. And it even tells you that right in the owner's manual. Do not try cutting until the blade is all the way up to speed. So let's fire this up and see if we can get it to do it. Now, I don't know if that just showed up on camera or not, but you can feel the vibration go the whole way up into the handle, up until it comes all the way up to speed. And that's a good solid second that it needs to come all the way up to its full RPM. And they tell you not to engage the wood until it is all the way up to RPM. Now, once it is up to RPM, everything just gets real nice and smooth all of a sudden, and you can get a nice, clean, straight cut. How long have I had this? I've had this for about a year now. Let's go over some of these features that are on this and talk about the pros and cons of it. For starters, we have a light. Helps see our work. That light, when you come down, also tends to generate a black line. Let's grab a piece of wood, and we'll take a peek at that. Okay, so we got our wood on the miter saw. See if that'll show up. There it is. And what we basically are getting there is a shadow. And you'll notice, as I come down and actually contact the wood, it's right where that line is. That helps us to find our point at which we want to engage the wood and line it up. Very, very useful. I kind of prefer a different method, such as a laser, because when you're in the daylight, that can be very difficult to see. Not bad if you're, like we are here, inside the garage, or if you even have just even an overcast day. But you get full sunlight, it starts getting real difficult to see. But it does do the job. I wouldn't say that it completely hinders this thing at all. But it is something to keep in mind. There are a little bit better methods, I think, for finding your point of contact, where your cut's going to be. And what else does this have? This has a very long stroke on the slider. Very, very long. I would say that is probably 12 inches of stroke. Your blade, since it is a 12-inch, I would say you got 5 inches of cut till you hit your bushing. And the combination of 5 inches of cut and 12 inches of stroke, I've actually measured it out, and I can cut a block of wood that is 15 inches by about 5 inches. It's a very large cut, which is great if you're working with really big pieces of wood, or really just wide pieces of, plywood or vinyl siding, for that matter. These things are great for doing vinyl siding. So it throws a few more options into the playing field that may not have been available on some of your smaller miter saws. I don't think this miter saw is for everybody. I think it is a good option. It does open a lot of doors, but I don't think it's for everybody. What else do we got going on here? So we got a big cut length, we got a long slide, we got a lock. When this is completely closed, it's fun to try and do one-handed, we can lock our blade down, but she still slides, in which case we do have a lock back here. So we've now taken care of it sliding for the purposes of storing the tool. So then what else do we have? Right here is a lock. And right here is a little tab. When you close her all the way down, you can set this up to stop your cut so that your blade does not go all the way down. So if you don't want to cut the whole way through the piece that you're working with, you want to leave some material in there, you can do that. You, of course, can miter all your cuts, both on the x-axis and the y-axis. There's a storage for changing your blade, the Allen key for changing your blade right here in the handle. You've got a lock for holding down your material. The guard works quite wonderfully on this. What else do we have? We have locks to be able to unlock, move where we want, secure it back down. It is dirty. I do use it. It's covered in sawdust. There are marks telling you your degrees. Always nice. Same way back here. You can also slide these out, give you a little more length to make sure you're secured up and straight. And if I remember how it works, there it is. You can slide these out to a couple different positions to, again, give you a little more length for your work. And that occurs on both sides. It's really handy to have this thing, especially if you're doing more aggressive type work, maybe a bigger project like a professional would use. For a home hobbyist, this could be a bit too much. Now the stand that it's mounted on does not come with it. That was a separate purchase on my part. I do enjoy the stand. I kind of feel like if you're going to buy this big of a compound miter saw, you really do need to get the stand for it. This is the Ryobi stand. It's called the MSUV, Miter Saw Utility Vehicle. It does fold up into basically the two-wheel dolly. The ends, both sides, do slide out and lock into place. Simple little twist locks. You can adjust your height, your roll off. You get guards so you can function as stops, and the ability to pull it on and off of the cart is just the flip of two little buttons. Makes it very, very easy to get it on and off of the cart. So my thoughts, almost forgot one thing. And of course you got your bag back here for catching all your sawdust, which can be removed, and a 1.25" hose adapter on a shop vac can be attached to it. Or if you have a dust collection system, can be attached. And she is pretty good about collecting the dust until the bag gets full. If you have a shop vac or a dust collection system, quite more efficient. You don't have to worry about, is my bag full, and then it start blowing sawdust everywhere. I just use the bag and use it outside, and I don't have to worry about all that. If it gets too full, I just wind up with a pile of sawdust on the ground. So overall, my thoughts on this piece of equipment. I think it gets kind of a bad rap because people are not using it correctly. They're not reading the manual. They're not letting that blade come all the way up to speed like like Ridgid is asking. Um, so I think that is kind of a unnecessary critique that a lot of people are giving it. Now, as I said, did I get a good one? Did they get a bad one? Um, you know, I don't know. I just know that following what Ridgid has told me in the instruction manual, I haven't had any problems. So uh, there is that. Now, I do believe this is too big for your average person. I don't think most people need all this. And I believe the saw when I bought it was $400. Not sure. You'll be able to look in the link for a link in the description below. You'll be able to see the price on both of these. The cart, I believe, was $300. So total, I'm looking at about $700, maybe $800. We'll look into that. Like I said, click on the link in the description. You'll be able to see that. It is a healthy price to pay. I like it. It does everything that I asked from it. I like the fact the cart folds up into a two-hand dolly, makes it really easy to be able to move around, load it in and out of a truck. It's really, really nice, especially if you're outside and all of a sudden you start getting them black clouds up there. That's when you start running into some real issues. This, just unplug it, wrap your cord up, lock your blade into place, lock your slide, boom, wheel it off into a garage, underneath a canopy, whatever. Super handy. Easy to protect. So I do love it. I'm just not sure it's for everybody. If you need a saw this big, I do recommend giving it a try. Make sure you let the blade come up to speed. That's why we need the whiskey. Mixed reviews online. My experience has been a little different. So, yeah, definitely whiskey on this one. All right, guys, let's finish this up. Okay, so where does that leave us at? This is kind of a long video. I'm definitely going to drink some whiskey after this one. It's the last one I'm doing today. we're going to start doing something other than the coffee for this one. But this is a great saw in my experience. I can't say enough good things about it, as long as you're following what Ridgid said to do. For those guys that have had problems, let me know down in the comments, were you letting it come all the way up to speed like it asks? Giving it that second and a half to actually come all the way up in RPM. Was there something else going on? Just let me know. That's what the comments are for. I want to know if somebody had any different experience than I did. I want to know, have you ever used this and had a good experience? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Tell me about it. As far as I'm concerned, I'm giving it a thumbs up. I like it. It's done me really well. So remember, those projects out there, we can do them. We just need a little bit of time, a little bit of experience, sometimes help of a friend. That can be a big one. All right, guys, you enjoy your day. We'll talk to you later.